Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to Golden Days of Fall, a YouTube hop by the Paper Crafting YouTubers group on Facebook. And it's hosted by Rachel Talman. And this is the picture that I'm scrapping today. It's of my granddaughter Reagan. And most of the things I am using is Simple Stories, Vintage Harvest, I think it's called, and the background sheet, which is 49 on Market. Uh, Seasonal leaves falling, something about leaves. I can't remember. It was from last fall, but I do have a little bit of it. Um, and those dies there are the leaves. Debbie gave them to me, and they're spellbinders, and were the perfect size for this layout. And I'm going to use a picture slide die out of the other one. And as you can see, this is all the simple stories. And see those little banner things there? They're left over from another layout where I cut other banners, and this was the extra. But I went ahead and adhered them down. But you will see that I wished I hadn't. I and see my scrap paper I've got behind her photo. The gold kind of slid under the stencil, so I'm just using it for other things now. The frame there is Simple Stories, and I'm going to cover most of that little cluster up because this picture should have been portrait, not landscape, not landscape. I started to say layout, not landscape. So I am going to cover most of it up. Part of it I will go ahead and let show. I wanted two layers there. I wanted the teal repeated, and you can see it in the banners, but I wanted to have it repeated in a couple places. So I will have teal colored pumpkins and I think one butterfly. But I did put it on foam tape, both underneath the picture frame there and the photo too. But I used that skinny stuff so it still wouldn't come up too high. After tearing the papers, I decided to go ahead and distress the frame and all those little pieces of paper that I had already adhered down. So yeah, I'm gonna wish I'd done it to start with, or at least not put the adhesive on there. But I figured they'd be all over the place, and so to make sure I had them all separated, because as you can tell, I have one in the middle of one color and everything else kind of matched each other. I take my taking my pencil and going around the edge so I don't have to sew as far. And I would just slide my picture over the top of the pencil marks instead of erasing them. And I am using my much loved mat there, which, as I understand, nobody can get anymore. But it really works good because the pointed whatever you use it goes right through, and it is easy to make the holes big enough for your needle to go through then. And I'm just stitching the back stitch with some orange floss there. I don't know why, but when I start doing autumn layouts, I want to put stitches on there. So, and orange is what it mostly is. And I didn't have much orange choices anymore because I have used it. I have other colors, which I should probably be using, but the orange always looks great on these layouts. I did a double knot here on the back, and then I just added some glue. I don't know about y'all, but my washing comes off, especially if I have my layouts, stacked together, and it'll try to get on the other side, the top side of the one underneath it. I'm using my little EK Success punch for flowers, and then also this old Stampin' Up one. And all I'm going to punch out of there is the biggest one there. And I'm doing a couple because I did do some in advance, but I thought I'd go ahead and show how cute they are when you add layers to them. I don't like empty centers on my flowers. I'm using that is like, I'm pretty sure the last piece of that paper, and I got it a very long time ago. I believe it was Big Lots, and you got like 20 sheets or 25 for a few dollars, and it's textured. And well, I got it yellow, and I believe it was orange back then, and I really liked inking the yellow and the orange because it showed up so good on those light colors. However, on the brown, you can't tell by the time my ink dries whether I inked it or not. I'm just trying to get all the centers in the center because if I am using my finger and I go to pull it off, somehow or another it comes with it a little bit and then it's off center. So I am trying to make sure they stay this time in the center. I put foam tape under them and all the others too, so that I'd go ahead and have that just to pull off the I can't talk, release paper on the back when I get ready to put it on the layout. And these leaves, I was going to show you all the sheet because I do have an extra one that I die cut them out, and it's a whole sheet of leaves. They're kind of on the dark side, but they have light colors mixed in. So it looks like a leaf sometimes, you know, how the one part of the leaf will turn darker than others. And yeah, it reminded me of that. And I thought, I am never going to use either side probably on my layout unless it's just for like slivers for a border or something. So I decided to just use them with those cute little dies and then make it on my layout. And I did the whole page. What's on here is only the ones that I inked, and I used Rusty Hinge when I inked them. The inking took definitely much longer than the die cutting. There's the photo slide that I said I'd be using, and I was going to use it as a cluster down in the bottom left. I don't know if I ended up getting my photo cluster a little bit too low because I had it all pictured in my head how I was going to do it, but the frame just didn't look good down there. It looked cramped, so I decided to move it up a little bit, and it does look good kind of hanging off the photo just a little bit. And you will see me using those pumpkins in there. I forget for the other part of the layout. I do not have them on the right there by the photo, and um, I can't remember if I had part of the top cluster done yet before I remembered, but I will remember to put pumpkins where they need to go. I wanted the color, since the leaves are so dark, I wanted the color to kind of brighten up the little clusters. And I'm using the teal ones and the light colored ones too. I made sure I pulled out my orange and white twine. Well, I don't know if it's a real white. It's kind of a little bit off white. But I've got plenty of it. I got it on a peachy cheap deal on Black Friday once years ago and gave a bunch away and still have a bunch. But I wanted to twine it through my clusters there, and I will put a little piece up there at the top right cluster. And it's not going to have a whole lot showing when I get done, but it will have enough to draw interest. Now, I wanted to put a butterfly in this cluster, but, I'm going to end up using my blue teal looking one. Well, if you look at the photo, Reagan is looking up and to her left. And so I want to put a butterfly up there like she's watching it. My daughter took this picture, and it is a candid one. She wasn't expecting at that moment to get her photo taken. So her tongue is stuck out a little bit between her teeth, and she's laughing. And I thought, well, I think it's my favorite picture of all that day. But yeah, she's just adorable with her smile there. Anyway, the large teal butterfly, I can't see it laying there. It will end up in her eye view. That's where it's going to end up, in her eye view. Oh, I forgot. That one banner is 49 at Market, but I thought it looked cute on here. And it has stitches on there, and that's what made me think of stitching on my layout. But I am going to cover the faux stitches up on the banner with some real stitches to go across there. And since I'd put foam tape on the back of this, I'm not sure when, but since it was there, I was tempted to pull it off, and I thought, well, I might end up using it in a place where I could use the foam tape and give a little dimension there. Well, when I started doing the stitches, I was worried about poking those holes and doing the stitches on the part that's kind of hanging out behind the foam tape. It's up there at the top. but it worked out just fine. That is pretty stiff paper, it and the background paper too. Both were a whole lot easier to stitch on than some are. I'm always worried on some of those papers that I'm going to tear it when I'm going to pull my stitch a little bit tighter. But no problem with that one. My cluster up there, I am going to get, let me look. I am going to get 2 pumpkins up there. I am. So I'm pretty happy with that. While I'm doing all these little bits and pieces and in the finishing off the clusters, I want to mention that down there below, you'll find the link for everybody that is doing the paper crafting YouTubers hop. And since the theme, well, I'm not even sure if I looked at the theme, but the hop title is Golden Days of Fall. I wanted to make sure that I had some colors of fall in here. So, yeah, I might be totally off on the theme because, like I said, I cannot remember reading that. I think I read it when it first got posted, but I hadn't read it since. So, I'm not sure. We will find out. I am putting that teal colored pumpkin up there, but it's not going to stay there because I am putting one down lower. Well, lower than what I am doing now. And then that would leave two of, yeah, there I'm putting the other one in. Well, that'll leave 2 of the lighter colored ones right next to each other. So I am going to move the teal one down and then the other light colored one up a little. Well, where the teal one was. And I like that a whole lot better. Um, let's see where. I know I'm there somewhere. Oh, I'm getting close to getting that finished. And then I'm going to think, oh my goodness, I haven't done the title. And I plan on using the word fabulous. So it was pretty big on that sheet of the foam things. And so I don't have quite as much room as I originally planned for it. But I think it turned out pretty good where it was at. However, I am going to struggle with it. So I'm going to cut all that out. I was trying to get it straight, plus tuck it into the cluster a little bit. And yeah, it took me a while. And I do have some wrinkles in there. So I hope that they look natural in there. These foam phrase stickers really look cute, but they generally are sticky. I mean, sticky. And also, they do kind of crinkle when you least want them to. I thought I'd go ahead and add one little tiny cluster of the flowers there underneath the title. I'm not going to add no twine to it. I debated on it, so I'd have it in 3 places. And then I thought, no. By the time I got it on there, I thought it looked pretty good by itself, so I just didn't go ahead and add it. I thought, 2's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with not putting it in less than a group of 3 or an even number if I like it the way it is. I'm using some Gina Marie enamel dots, and the ones, of course, I'm going to use is the teal ones. And I do think after I get that done, I'll be done with my layout. I'm pretty sure I'll be done with it after I get them on there. I can't think, I'm looking at the layout and I can't think anything else that I added after them. Um, oh, yeah. I'm going to add some splatters and I will be using carved pumpkin. Debbie gave it to me and I was thinking, where is my carved pumpkin? And I couldn't find it at first because I was looking at my inks because, so often I just kind of spread the ink on the packaging and then I remembered it was a spray. So I pulled it out and used it with some water and made my little droplets. And I used a small brush because I wanted to add some mixed media looking stuff coming out from under everything. I would have used a slightly bigger one or the fan brush if I hadn't made that decision to put some mixed media on there. And while I'm doing it, I'm thinking, I don't really want it up there on my little banner spray things behind the photo. I'm just going to do it on the bottom and up in the upper right-hand cluster. Well, you will notice when you see the end, when I went to take the photos, I thought, I don't think I like it not behind those banners. And I will add a little down to the little teeny tiny cluster on the bottom right. So you will see it in those two places in the photos. And I kind of thought about putting the camera back on, but I didn't because I thought this video is going to be long enough as it is. So I just went ahead and did it because I figured y'all can just look or imagine the extra uh, carved pumpkin on the layout. But yeah, well, I don't know if you can tell real good or not with their tongue sticking out a little bit, but it is. Um, and there's the bottom left-hand cluster. And you see that butterfly kind of blends in just a little bit, but I think it looks really good in person that you can see it really well. And there's my stitched leftover banners from making some other ones, and I'm glad I saved them. Well, I was going to save them anyway because you never know what you can punch out of a scrap or die cut out of it. But yeah, it worked really well for this layout. And the little enamel dots just add a little more teal color to the layout. And I think that's it. But if you leave a comment below, I'll try to get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. If you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those of you already are, thank you so very much. But I hope you all have a happy, scrappy week. Have fun on the hop. Bye.